Hey, Catalyst crew. Welcome to Catalyst Corner, episode 44. It's Thursday, so we've got Jim F0123 Art on with us today, and, yeah, let's get into it. How you doing, Jim?
I'm doing okay. How you been?
Not bad, you know. All the snow's melting.
Yeah, we're getting towards spring. It's starting to get a little bit better out, so
Yeah,
that's something.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I told Paul last week, I lit my hair on fire
Oh,
with
nice.
one of the candles.
Yeah, no, that's what you do.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. Good
made,
idea.
Made it through that. You know what I wanted to tell you is, obviously, you know, the world is crazy.
Right, for sure.
I've fallen into this sort of, you know, the algorithm basically sees what you watch and it feeds you more of it.
Right.
So I've fallen into this thing where people are going nuts at the airport.
Okay.
For whatever reason.
Sure.
Either they're crazy or their flight got,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
whatever it is.
Oh, yeah, tons of issues with the airports.
And then they just get tased.
yeah, love it.
It is so satisfying. It's like Schadenfreude. It's just so satisfying.
Can I tell you one of my favorite things to watch on TV is people getting tased? I love it.
Tased
I
is
love
so
it.
funny.
I think it's the most enjoyable form of entertainment you could possibly watch.
It gets to me because, like, I watched one today, right? And this person was going nuts. And they were screaming at the, I assume it's a cop.
Sure.
And they're just like, you're going to respect me. And they had already trashed the airport, right?
Oh, okay.
And it's almost like in the moment they think they're going to beat the like they always seem like they think they're going to beat the
Right.
taser. And they never do.
Never.
Oh, it's so, and then
I just love how, what I love the most is when they squeal with that really high pitched scream
yeah, because
and
they
then
don't
hit
know.
the floor.
Oh, it's so funny.
That's the best.
It's so funny. Yeah, so I've been kind of exposed to a lot of that.
Nice.
Have you seen anything?
I have.
Oh,
So I watched Megan.
the horror flick with the doll.
Correct.
Okay,
So this is,
it's got a lot of good reviews.
yeah. So this is what in the industry you call a pile of shit.
Whoa.
I hated this movie.
Whoa.
And
I heard it was very campy.
Yeah, you know, so it's made for preteens who don't want to commit to horror and don't want to commit to comedy.
So is it kind of like, would you say it's the TikTok?
It's for the TikTok generation.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
But
Give me some examples.
so there's a mother, father, and daughter that are going on vacation. They're going to the mountains. It's very snowy out.
Is this like a present day situation, or
Yes.
are they not even?
Present day situation.
Okay.
So they're in the car and they're just bickering, right? It's just,
Sure.
and within 2 minutes, there's a car crash and the mother and father die. And I'm like, Jesus, it took 2 minutes, way too long. They should have been dead within 30 seconds. I hate these people.
Was it just clunky dialogue?
It's
or-
yeah, but just deplorable people. Everybody in this movie is deplorable.
So there's
I
no
want
one you're
no
rooting
one.
for.
I'm rooting for the doll to destroy them all.
Okay, so that's good though.
Yeah, because they're horrible. But
Right, but that's kind of that follows the vein of like Friday the 13th
yeah,
and everything.
But unfortunately, that's not going to be where this goes.
Oh no.
So, the mother of the little girl survives. She goes to live with her aunt, who's the sister of the mother.
Okay.
Okay, she's into she works for a company that does toys, right? But you know, she's working on this AI doll.
Sure, very
Right.
akin to the modern day Chucky reboot.
Correct. She's not motherly whatsoever. Her and the niece really aren't clicking because she wanted to devote herself to work, and this was her life's goal to try to get this AI doll
Like
into
Claire
market.
from Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Wow, we're checking off boxes
Right.
here.
So basically, she gets it to a point, right? And the way the doll works is the owner is gonna touch the doll
To imprint on it.
imprint on it,
Okay.
and then the doll is gonna learn the behaviors of the girl.
Okay, like how AI works.
Yeah, and so they're going to be best friends, right? So if your child is friendless or you want a companion for your child, they imprint on this AI doll, and this doll will learn the likes and dislikes of your child, right?
Right, so they have someone to kind of play with, especially if they're sort of a loner.
Right.
Okay.
So, as of course you know what's going to happen, the doll starts to become sentient, right?
Naturally,
doesn't need the imprint anymore.
Sure, and that's a big fear in the AI community.
Right. So again, you cannot do voice commands anymore to get it to stop. The doll is
like the typical Chucky thing, right? Where,
exactly.
Where the mother says something and then the doll goes off script.
Yeah. So what's happening is anytime the little girl obviously is struggling with the death of her parents.
Sure.
Death is an issue for her, so the doll is like, well, okay, well, I'm going to protect you from all harm. So anybody that even comes in contact that may be rude or harmful to the little girl, the doll is going to kill for whatever, not like, hey...
Not because it has bloodlust, it's just in protection mode.
Right, just in protection mode, but it takes it to the extreme of murder.
Right. As you do.
Which it does.
Sure. How are the kills?
Bland.
Yeah.
Just generic type of shit.
Yeah, like stabbings and all that type of...
Yeah, things like that. So at the end, obviously, as what happens, the doll is, taking on a life of its own. It's not going to be told what to do. It's going to... And, obviously, the doll is going to kill the aunt.
Sure.
And the little girl, obviously, is going to save the aunt. They kill the doll, and everybody's happy.
Okay.
Except one of the major... The doll, all of a sudden, though, is like Ultron, right? It can all of a sudden now, it can also... Anything that's electrical, it can all of a sudden
the
now
AI,
control.
Right, it made the jump. Like, again, if you've seen the modern-day Chucky... All of that happens.
Right. So that's basically what it is.
So
and
they gender swap Chucky into a female doll.
Right. So the doll at the end it die, right? They kill the doll.
But it's not dead because the AI
it's not
lives
dead
on.
because she has like an Alexa and it turns on at the end by itself while they're outside.
Right.
And whatever. It was such a paint by the numbers AI type of story, right? To your point, Chucky just gender swapped. But it was so generic, and I don't understand
was the doll
hype for it.
Charismatic?
No,
because people were going nuts over the dancing.
You know what the dancing was?
No,
literally under a minute. It was under a minute in the movie.
What was the deal with it?
She's gonna kill a guy, and she does like a couple seconds of a dance before she chases him down the hallway.
But for no reason, she just busts out into a dance.
No reason.
That's pretty weird.
It was, like I said, if you're a preteen and you don't really want to get into gore, this is the movie they created for you.
Well, maybe that's why it's doing so well, because it kind of appeals to a younger audience, right?
Yeah, and I think that is what it is.
From what you've told me, it doesn't sound overtly egregious. It just sounds very, vanilla.
It's just if you're a fan of horror,
right? If you're
you'll
going
hate
in,
this.
If you're going in expecting, because it got like a 90,
yeah.
So if you're going in expecting it to be, the next Hereditary,
right,
you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah. Or if you think that this doll is going to be, on the level of a Freddy Krueger or a Jason
or even a Chucky,
that's not going to happen.
Now it is getting a sequel.
Well, yeah, it let off for that because it did well. It performed. I'm just like, this isn't for me. Just as a fan of horror, I thought this was schlock. I really think it sucked. I have no interest in seeing a second one. Again, if you're not into real horror and you're just into,
yeah, but if it is for a younger generation, maybe it's a good kind of bridge. Instead of like being like, all right, straight to Chucky, you do like Megan and you have a couple of softer ones. And if you like the genre.
If that's what you were going for, if that's the audience you were going for, then great. it's just not.
I mean, that was the impression that I got with the dancing and all that shit.
It's just it wasn't anything that I would ever want to.
Too vanilla.
Yeah, it's just way too generic, way too paint by numbers.
Right. That's too bad.
Yeah, it was too bad.
So I caught a couple.
Okay.
So I watched one called The Devil Conspiracy.
Oh, okay. Sounds interesting.
Have you seen the trailer for that?
I have.
Trailer looked pretty good.
I thought it looked really good.
So the thing is that I always like when they tell those sort of, Inferno stories, right? Obviously, I like Constantine and everything, and I was like, all right, cool, we're going to see hell, there's going to be some angels and devils fighting. I can get on board with all of that.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Really?
It was just so...
that's sad to hear, because it looked good.
Is the special effects were fine. Mm-hmm. The makeup was great.
Yeah, okay.
So there was some money behind this.
Yeah, the trailer looked like it had money behind it.
The story was just so fucking stupid.
Ah, see, that's a shame.
Right. Lucifer's trapped by Michael, has to impregnate a woman, but the baby, the human part of the baby loves the mother. Like, it's just fucking so stupid. Really, decent. I don't think it was a huge budget, right? Because when they're in hell, it's still pretty sparse, and they have some demons and stuff, but it's not, what you would expect to get.
Right.
But, Lucifer looked decent, Michael looked good, but it was just, I don't know, I expected so much more.
They always seem to have trouble telling that story, and it's such an interesting concept, and I always want to see a good movie. Like, you ever see Prophecy?
Yeah.
Right?
Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah. Again, it wasn't great execution, but the story itself, the premise of it.
When the devil shows up.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end or whatever, and it's fucking Aragorn. And all those bodies are like writhing. That was cool as fuck.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Keanu Reeves Constantine, where you had Peter Stahlmeier play the devil with the fucking tar feet.
Yeah. It's like, the thing is, like, you're almost there with these movies. Like, there's you
hell,
make
hell
them.
is hard. It's hard to tell stories that are based in there, And I thought the representation of hell was decent. It was, there was fire, but it also seemed cold at the same time. So that was cool. I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's kind of a weird take on it. But, they would just do this like weird shit. And then at some point they were like these fucking kids that are in hell for whatever reason. And like, it was just so convoluted. Like I was excited. I thought it was just going to be, angels and demons fighting, and this lady's caught in the middle of it. So pretty disappointing. I'd stay away from that one. And then I caught the Chris Rock special.
Oh, yes.
So I thought it was interesting that Netflix streamed it live. I don't think it's going to save Netflix, but
no.
That's pretty innovative.
Yeah, it's something to try.
He had a couple of good... I don't love his... So for me, right, Dave Chappelle is a master.
Right.
So...
Yeah. As far as comedians go, right now, Chappelle is,
I would say, his story,
one or two.
Right. I mean, Carlin is obviously God tier, right?
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, for modern day comedians, I think Chappelle's... You know who else I think is really good? Is Louis C.K.
Yes.
And he's coming back now.
Yeah, good.
And he's he makes some jokes about the jacking off and everything.
Hey,
it's good.
You have to.
So I don't love his Chris Rock style, because he just repeats shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And but there were some bits. There was a bit about Meghan Markle and the anti-woke thing that I thought was awesome. Like, it's nice to hear comedians, especially on the tier of Chris Rock, kind of say that shit.
Right.
Where it's just like, this woke shit is bullshit. Meghan Markle's not a victim.
Right, exactly.
And the Will Smith shit was hilarious.
Yeah, that was hilarious. And I really don't know why there's any pushback to that. Like, we saw what happened at the Oscars. Like, why is anybody giving Chris Rock a hard time for retaliating? Like, I don't even understand why there's anybody criticizing what Chris Rock said.
Because it was a year ago?
Right. Again, he bided his time for him to finally say something, which again, that's his choice.
Yeah, but you slapped this dude on a public show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For making a joke about your wife's self-diagnosed alopecia. He could have made a joke about her fucking her son's friend,
which he did now
right,
in the special. But he could have He could have then at the Oscar.
Right.
Well,
like if he wanted to go low-hanging fruit,
right,
he could have talked about the infidelity.
That would have been the thing that would have got you up out of your seat and slapped him. Like, obviously, if he made a joke like that, because again, even though it's common knowledge, obviously you would take offense to that, right? You're publicly humiliated. But to say what Chris Rock said at the Oscars and for you to react that way is
it was like the most benign fucking thing.
Exactly. And that stuff happens all the time. People poke fun at each other. That's just what you do.
Right. Everybody gets roasted at these award shows.
And they're all friends. So again, you take it.
And even if they're not friends, that's part of the game.
Right, exactly. You know what you're getting into with that type of stuff.
And it was funny. Like shit he was saying, the bit about how he's like, well, Will Smith went through something that none of it. He's like, we've all been cheated on, but like,
yeah,
this motherfucker had to get cheated on and then go on a talk show where his wife interviewed him. Yeah. He's like, how did that make you feel?
Right.
And I was
and he's right though. He's right. He's a bitch that went after the one guy that could have not kicked his ass.
Right.
Because everybody else that said anything would have kicked the shit out of Will Smith.
Right.
He went after the one person he knew that he was bigger than.
Right. And
you're a hero.
You know what? Will Smith is a bitch.
He is a bitch.
I'm good.
An absolute bitch.
Like, I'll be honest with you. He got his Oscar, so like if you need that, Will, congrats. But like, fuck off now. I think we're done with Will Smith.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. He tried, right? The emancipation thing, and no one watched it.
No one cares. No one cares.
Well, except
You're done.
For Chris Rock watched it.
Well, yeah.
But nobody else watched it.
No. Just for material sake only.
Right. And that's the thing is like, I don't, there's no love. Like, I was thinking about this the other day. And it actually was, for whatever reason, right? It was, like that Jennifer Lopez song popped into my head. Don't be fooled by the rocks that I got. I'm still Jenny from the block.
Yeah,
you heard that?
I heard it, yes.
And I was thinking to myself, because she's like notorious for being a bitch.
Right.
And I'm like, so when you were Jenny from the block, were you a fucking jerk then too? And then I started thinking like, because she's got a new movie out.
Okay.
And I started thinking to myself, you had your, like, it's okay to have your moment, leave your mark, and then fuck off.
Right.
Nobody wants to see any more movies from Jennifer Lopez.
No. And that's not to say that you should not make them anymore or that you should quit your career, but
just understand where you're at.
Right, exactly. Be self-aware of who you are now and where you're at, and that, yeah, you're not an A-list anymore when it comes to that. Whether you were or not can be debatable in the first place,
right, but you're
not
moment
now.
In the sun.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's time to, do what you got to do. Listen, but you're not going to be.
And it happens to everybody. Even Spielberg at this stage of the game is not putting out hit after hit.
That West Side Story, people hated.
Right, West Side Story tanked. The one he did. This last one he did is up for Best Picture. But my point to it is just, it's okay to you don't have to chase your high.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, be content with what you've achieved. There's still stuff to achieve.
Sure.
But but you're looking at a different, your end game now is different, and what you're looking for is different.
Spielberg should switch over to kind of, finding a protege, who's not fucking Kathleen Kennedy, and we'll get there.
Failed there miserably.
But just finding younger filmmakers and kind of helping shepherd them into the, Hollywood.
That's what we need because of how bad.
But even Jennifer Lopez, right?
Is.
Like, she has all of this experience in the music industry. Help some of these younger kids out.
Yeah, you have experience in you have experience in music. You have experience in choreography, in dance. You have experience in acting.
Here's where I think we lose the plot, is that back in the day, right, with art and creativity, you made your masterpieces in your prime, and then when you became the master, you taught the student. Like, that's how it used to work.
Right.
And it's like they're not doing that anymore.
No, and that's the problem of Hollywood is we don't have, this goes back to
Clint Eastwood in his 90s making 70s making fucking what? Crazy movies?
Yeah. Because you're right. We're not doing enough to pass on that knowledge to bring the next group up. And again, acting is different. Yes, are there great new young actors? Sure. I'm saying writers, filmmakers,
right,
those are the things that are having a hard time.
Right, but even some of these actors, right? You should be working with the new blood and being like, look, avoid this. This is how the industry kind of
for sure.
Like, shepherd these kids in.
Oh yeah, definitely. Teach them the potholes to avoid.
It's just crazy to me, that we're doing Expendables 4 and Stallone's pushing 80.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's okay, bro. You have an amazing body of work. Chill.
Yeah.
Chill. You can still be in the industry, but, like, shepherd the next tough guys in.
Yeah. Do cameos like you did in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Schwarzenegger, I think, has it figured out.
Yeah.
He pops in. He has a couple cameos in the Expendables, and he's just doing his thing.
Right. Exactly.
He can't do it anymore.
No, not to the level that you used to, and what you don't want to become is a caricature of yourself and ruin your legacy. That's something you should all be cognizant of. Don't ruin your legacy by trying to be the same person you were 20, 30 years ago. Adapt and adjust to what you are now and make it so you're not cartoonish.
But it happened with Mickey Rourke.
Oh, yeah.
He was a heartthrob in the 80s, disappeared, came back as a ghoul, but still a talented ghoul.
Yeah.
Did some good shit, but then kept going.
Yeah.
And it was like, bro, you spent the last of what you had in, like, The Wrestler and all that shit. You're what you got to do now is help other people.
Yeah. Right. But the problem is, Mickey, like, for him, right, The Wrestler really was his claim to fame, right? So now he's thinking, well...
He was an Angel Heart, too.
No. What I'm saying is, though, like, that really was like...
Yeah, The Wrestler was a high point.
Right, and it's like, oh, I'm on a high. And it's like, no, that was just your high point, and now you're going to go back down to where you were, but that's not the way it was looked at. And then you do Iron Man 2, and it's like, yeah, that's not the same.
Coming off of The Wrestler, right?
Right.
And thinking like, and you know what? In all honesty, his performance in Iron Man 2 is fine.
Yeah, it was fine.
But because he is the way he is, right? And he looks the way that he looks, he only fits in certain roles.
Right. And that's a lot of what these actors, because if you've been doing it...
He has the best line in the first Expendables movie.
Yeah.
Like, the movie's campy as fuck, except for that line where he's talking about how he loses his soul.
Right. But you do these movies for so long, you become pigeonholed into playing this role over and over again, and no one can see you differently. So when you try it, it fails because people can't accept you for that because you've been doing this role for so long or this type of role. And you're trying to...
even with Tom Cruise, he's pushing 60 and he's still doing Mission like, it's hard for me to buy Liam Neeson, who's pushing 70, as a tough guy anymore.
I mean, I couldn't... Look, those Taken movies, the first one anyway, because it was a little original, but it was tough. But it was
Taken
tough
3,
to...
He's like 68 years old.
But even in the first one, it was tough to really, like... Really? And, like, this guy scares you?
Here's the thing. He worked well. Did you ever see The Gray?
No.
That movie is fantastic, okay? But there's a plane crash, and then he's in a survival. So he's not fighting fucking, the cartel.
Right.
He's fighting nature.
Sure. That's different.
If you want to make him a tough guy in that instance,
sure.
Cool. And I believe it.
Yeah, you can have survival skills, and without at a certain age, that's fine. You could still be that guy.
But the reason I keep bringing up the Expendables is my partner had never seen it, and she ended up watching all three of them.
Okay.
Right. And I had never seen the third one because when I was younger, I liked the first.
Sure.
I was always a fan of '80s action,
Yep.
so it spoke to me.
Sure.
And I watched the third one, and it had like Mel Gibson as the villain.
Yeah.
And I'm at the end when they're fighting. Gibson is in his 60s, his late 60s.
Yeah.
Stallone's in his late 70s. I'm like, I don't believe that you're fighting like this.
Well, that's the part. It's hard to suspend disbelief to that level when you're watching these movies. Like, you're not gonna have the energy.
Right, but even towards the end of Daniel Craig's James Bond, it gets a little hard because it's like, bro, you're old now.
Exactly. But he was smart enough to walk away at this point.
Right. I don't know. It popped into my head, and I just, I wanted, and I think the same goes for Will Smith.
Sure.
It's just like, dude, you got your Oscar, right? And again, the movie you made was Oscar bait. It's not like it was this fucking,
right.
It was an Oscar bait movie.
Sure.
But you got the Oscar.
Yeah.
Take your win and fuck off.
Right.
But what does he try to do? He tries to make Emancipation.
Right. Yeah. Sorry,
and
no
one
one's
goes
buying
in
it.
for it.
No, if they make another Suicide Squad and they have him come back and he's a part of the Suicide Squad because he redoes Deadshot.
Yeah,
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, me too. But that's more of a side character.
Right, exactly. That's my point. He's not going to be the lead of that movie.
I don't think he's got it in him anymore.
No, I don't either.
Especially after the slap.
Right, exactly.
All right, let's move away from all that. So you actually brought this up to me.
Yes.
So I had heard that they were making another TMNT, or it's not TMNT, but it's whatever. And I never saw the second movie.
Yeah, the Michael Bay.
Right.
Okay.
I heard it's okay.
It's okay.
I did really, really like what they were doing in the comics with The Last Ronin. I think that shit is fucking awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
And obviously that's Eastman and
Laird,
right. So that I'm all about. But obviously Nickelodeon owns the rights.
Right.
And they are going to put out another movie. And, I was shitting on the art style, but then I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, that's different.
Yeah, it's not bad.
No, it's kind of, it's cool. It's kind of got like a sloppy, cell-shaded sort of look. They're young in this.
Yeah, they're like preteen or, 15, 15 16.
They seem very young, but it's got a cast.
It's got a cast. My problem is I don't find Seth Rogen entertaining.
No,
I don't find the stuff
either.
that he does entertaining.
When I was younger,
I think he's lowbrow entertainment.
Yeah, he definitely is.
You know what I mean? Like dick jokes only go so far, and I think that his has ended. Yes,
that wasn't bad.
Yeah, but that was him with, you know what I mean? Like he was a part of it, not.
Isn't that what he is in this?
No, he's like the main guy in this one.
Oh, this is all him.
Yeah.
Okay.
That being said, though, whatever. So there's major controversy, though, that's surrounding this because, as per the trailer, you saw that April O'Neil is now a woman of color.
Okay. Big deal.
In and of itself, that's not a problem.
Sure.
The problem is that all these SJWs ran to Twitter and said, what the fuck are you guys complaining about? April O'Neil was originally black in the comics. No, she wasn't. And that's what everybody's going back to these people and like, no, if you want to make her black, because she has been black in another cartoon, TMNT, that's not a problem. We're not going to rewrite history here, folks.
Yeah, but that's what they try to do.
But and so this becomes the controversy. Everybody's saying you're racists because April O'Neil was originally black, and you're racist for having a problem with her being black in this.
But who has a problem with her being black?
Well, Twitter. People on Twitter,
Right, but here's the thing. When you showed me the trailer, right, and I saw that she was black, it didn't even enter my brain.
No. So, but the thing is, right, so it got into this big war of he said, she said on Twitter.
Right. Okay.
And the problem is that the people that were, saying to the SJWs they were wrong are using facts where the SJWs are using their own take on things, right? So the people that are in people like Ethan Van Sciver, right? People like that. It's like...
Right, guys who are in the industry.
Right. Ethan Van Sciver said it plain and simple. Here's what Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird said. I'm going to go with what they said because they created it.
They commented on it?
They commented on it prior because this was a topic that came up prior to even this.
Okay.
April O'Neil was modeled after an Asian woman, and her name is derivative from Kevin Eastman's then girlfriend, who became his wife, ex-wife, who was of mixed race. April O'Neil is Caucasian with red hair. And on the issue number 2 of TMNT, where she debuted, they have a cover that's in color, and she's a Caucasian with red hair. The originators, the creators, have said she's not black.
Okay, so that's doctrine.
Right. So let's end that discussion.
That's the thing, is like, are there people, anyone complaining that they have her black in this show is a fucking piece of shit.
Right.
Get fucked.
Right.
But taking controversy and then amping it up to 11.
Right. And that's, so that problem existed. There's been that battle going on.
Because, like, yes, do I think the SJWs are right to come at the people and say, fuck you for being outraged? Mm-hmm. Sure, I'm on your side with that.
Sure.
I'll stand behind you with that. Where you lose me is when you say something that people from now here's where the battle shifts. We're fighting racism. Great. Right. But then you say something wrong. And then people from the industry and the creator, maybe the creators didn't weigh in with this controversy, but there is documentation. Mm-hmm. And when they tell you, look, fight the good fight, but you're wrong about this aspect of it. So don't use this as ammunition because it's not, that doesn't work.
Right.
And for them to turn around and tell these people to go fuck themselves is insane.
Right. And so the other part of the battle then became, well, okay, so it's fine that she's black, but why does she look that way? Why does she look like the same size and shape as the Ninja Turtles? Why is she short and fat and looking like the same size as the Ninja Turtles themselves, as opposed to the April O'Neil that we know, like Megan Fox, you know what I mean? Like, why didn't we get, like, Halle Berry, let's say, right? Like a beautiful
that
didn't
even register with me.
No, but to that I say, and I thought about that, and I'm like, yeah, why not? And then I'm thinking, wait a minute. These are like 15-year-old kids.
Right, it doesn't matter. They're kids.
Well,
like they're not even they're just hitting puberty.
Right. So why would they be hanging around with
bombshell?
Right, exactly. Wouldn't it make more sense that they have a news reporter that's like their age,
right? That
they would see in school,
like if
or
she grows up to be a bombshell, that's whatever.
Right. So you've I don't know what she actually is in this. I don't know if she's actually working for a news report. I don't think she's working for Baxter Stockman.
Right.
Maybe she's just somebody that's just doing a podcast, right? Maybe she's just somebody that's,
and
I
honestly,
don't know.
Like
or the school newspaper.
It's refreshing that she doesn't have to be used as, the sex appeal.
Right. So I thought about it, and I was in agreement for a second. And I'm like, no, that's wrong.
Right.
Maybe she's just a school newspaper journalist at the moment, the same age as them, and whatever she grows into and becomes, she becomes. But who cares?
Right.
Like, who cares? Look, I don't know if this is going to be good or not. I don't know that it's geared towards me.
It's not.
And I don't think it is.
I'm going to tell you that right now.
I don't think it is.
I'm interested because the art style looks good.
Yeah.
But as far as any controversy, like, I think what makes everything worse is that all of this shit, right? Because, like, you don't even, like, the Harry Potter thing was such a fucking firestorm, right? And it's gone now.
Right.
So it's like you made all this fucking noise. You made people feel bad about themselves, and what changed?
Right. But it's like, but
you're doing it again.
But the problem is, both sides of the argument are wrong.
Right.
That's the thing. It's like,
look, the SJWs were right initially. Right. It's cool to fight the racism.
Well, no, but then you took it too far by saying she's original.
But that's where
you went off the rail.
Right.
It's like,
but that's what happens.
Right.
That's what happens with Disney.
Right.
You know, is it good to have more diversity and female representation? Yes, but you take it too far.
Right. That's the problem. You go too far.
And you're wrong, and you stand by your wrong decision.
Right. And now any defense, anything that you were building towards, you lose because you had it and then you went one too far. You know, like any gambling that you do, you take it you could take your winnings and leave the table, but you don't. You keep on pushing, and you pushed it, and you gamble, and you've lost because you're fighting something that is wrong.
And that's the thing. Like, I'm not picking up the sword, right?
Right.
I'm not going to fight these racist pieces of shit.
No.
Because it's not my fight.
Right, exactly.
But if they put the mic on me, go fuck yourself. There's no issue with April O'Neil being anything.
No, there isn't.
But if Kevin Eastman says that she was white, he created it.
Right. That argument has no legs because the creators have said you're wrong and you're still fighting the argument.
Right. You can't argue with the creators.
Right. And it's like that's the problem. And so now you're creating a firestorm that you can't win because you're totally wrong by fact.
They're just looking for conflict.
Right.
At that point.
Exactly. They just want their voices to be heard.
But the only way that they know how to get their voices heard is through conflict.
Right.
So instead of coming at the racists and then letting all of us get behind them and fight the racism together, you got to take it to a different place. And now what you're doing is you're fighting a battle on 30 fronts. And I'm not a military man.
Right.
But you can't win a battle when your forces are spread so thin.
Right. And then you got the other side who, it's like, okay, yeah, you're proven right. She was never black in the comics. You're right. And you could have taken that and said, but you know what? If this is his reimagining of this property, cool, I'm fine with it. But you don't. You can't leave it alone.
Right. You turn people off to the movement.
Right. Now you're complaining about, well, she's short. Why is she short, fat, and ugly? Who cares? Even if you feel that way, who cares? Like, what does that matter?
About that?
The people online.
Oh, just the same people
YouTubers,
that care that she's
Twitter people.
The same people that care she's black.
Right.
Okay.
And it's the thing is, all we're doing is we're fighting. We're both fighting a fight we can't win on either side, and all it's doing is creating all this nonsense.
Well, what it does is it get I'm against racism.
Sure,
100%.
absolutely.
Fuck anybody that thinks April O'Neil can't be black.
Right.
But what ends up happening is when you tell basically the creators that they're wrong, it kind of just makes me go, well, fuck you too. So now it's just like, yeah, I don't want there to be racism, but if you think I'm going to fight a fight with you, you're a fucking asshole.
Right, exactly.
I don't want to fight, with you.
Right, and it's just, and at the end of the day, everybody walks away from this as a loser. And what did it solve?
Nothing. And what frustrates me is a lot of these people aren't creating.
No.
All they're doing is critiquing.
Right, exactly.
And that's incredibly frustrating. So it's coming out.
Yeah.
I think it'll be fine. It's a kid's movie.
Sure, it'll be fine.
Like I said, the art style really appeals to me.
Yeah, and I think it will the younger generation as well. I think that
I really dug the art style for Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited about the new one, that it's going to be a ton of different art style. Like, that's what I go in for now.
Yeah.
Right? I don't care about the stories as much because they're for kids.
Right. Exactly. And if the art style is pleasing to the audience that you're going after and they find the story enjoyable, cool. Because what you don't, at the end of the day, what you don't want is you don't want any property to be Star Wars. You don't want it dead. You don't want it maybe irredeemable.
Well, I mean, Star Wars right now is... I mean, is it dead?
Not
So
100%.
What do we have right now? So they're being sued.
Yeah.
Disney's being sued by that producer.
Right, which I think she's got a terribly hard task ahead of her to try to win that.
Sure, but it's still bad press.
Oh, it is bad press.
And fortunately, Kevin Feige's movie is out.
Right.
And so...
and Patty Jenkins as well.
Is out too.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Yeah, but what's in is Taika Waititi,
right,
who says he's going to star in it himself.
But what do you...
And who wants that?
Like you didn't do... Like, nobody is saying that Thor Love and Thunder was a huge success.
It wasn't a success.
Here's the problem, right? Taika Waititi is incredible in What We Do in the Shadows.
Mm-hmm.
He's also incredible in Our Flag Means Death.
Mm-hmm.
But he's really bad in Love and Thunder.
Yeah. And you know, I think... Look, I think Ragnarok was decent.
It was better than 2.
But I don't think it was. When I look at the best of Marvel, that doesn't achieve that.
You know what the worst part about Thor's whole run is that Vikings are fucking cool,
right?
And you didn't use anything.
No, but the thing is, when you're coming off Thor: Love and Thunder, and you're coming off a movie that didn't perform well and that was heavily critiqued, and you even have Chris Hemsworth blaming you for the failure of it, and you have all these issues with Star Wars and how dead that IP is, and then you hear that his project potentially is still moving forward with him as the star. Who is that for? Who in the world is that for?
Well, I think the right play. Now, I haven't caught Mando yet.
Yeah.
I'm going to let it kind of, get a few episodes in before I watch it. But I think the right play is we got to get Caroline Kennedy out. Or Kathleen Kennedy out.
Yeah.
Caroline Kennedy.
Well,
it's just, I can't name something that she's been involved in that's been a success.
there hasn't been. There hasn't been anything. And the thing is, it sounds like this summer is it. It sounds like that after Indy 5,
well, I was
it's
watching
official.
Like Favreau was gone.
Right.
Well,
did you hear the controversy that just happened there, as a matter of fact, at the beginning of Mando?
No, all I heard was this. I heard that when Kathy hijacked the Book of Boba Fett,
right,
he went to Chapek and was like, I'm fucking done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how, like, this is not what I signed up for.
Right.
And then Chapek said to him, what can I do?
Right.
Because Chapek was already on the, right?
Yep.
Like, he did not belong in that position. I just think he was staring into the abyss, and, like, to lose the one dude who has the only successful Star Wars property in the last 10 years.
So at the beginning of Mando, I'll just tell you this piece.
Yeah, sure.
So at the beginning of Mando, they do like a little intro thing, right?
As they do.
And what they do is they start showing helmets.
Okay.
Right? Of all, through time, all the different helmets.
Of the Mandalorians.
No.
The Star Wars
just
thing.
Star Wars, the legacy of all different helmets.
Are you talking about, like, the logo?
No.
In the logo, they show all the different characters, and then it says Star Wars, right?
It could be at the beginning. I don't...
Okay. All right.
Anyway, they just go through, show different helmets.
Yeah, like Vader and all that type
exactly.
of shit. Okay. Stormtroopers, maybe C-3PO,
right? Boba
right?
Fett, things like that.
Yeah.
So nothing. So not only was nothing from the sequel trilogy in there, but Kylo Ren's was removed.
That's too bad.
And so
Kylo Ren was one of the only good things.
But Favreau doesn't want any connection.
Yeah.
So Kathleen Kennedy was furious because she wanted it in there, and she called Favreau and said, basically, what the fuck? How dare you take that out? I wanted that in there. And his response was, yeah, talk to your boss. I got it cleared. it's all set.
Right.
And she went to Iger, and he's like,
Get fucked.
get fucked. Like, you're done. You're done.
Right, like you hadn't, like, you know what blows my mind is that I cannot believe they haven't fired Kevin Feige.
Kevin Feige should be fired today.
If I'm Bob Iger, right, because, like, he's getting up there in age.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine he doesn't want to do this after 2024.
Well, did you hear what he said today? Because they had the meeting today.
No.
So this is good and bad, right?
Okay.
So Iger basically, and I'll just give it a little. Basically, what he said was, does everything need a trilogy, and does every character constantly need to come back, or are we good with maybe one movie and one showing?
Well,
basically, your characters suck.
The problem is they got lazy.
Right.
Because when you do trilogies, right, you don't have to flex creative muscles as hard as starting something
right.
new.
And that's what he was saying. We're gonna focus on new characters. Maybe you'll see some of the other characters pop up, but we're gonna start focusing on new characters.
I think Obi-Wan would have, if they had Ewan McGregor to reprise his role, would have been much better as a side character in whatever.
Yeah.
In Ahsoka's.
And it would have been better with Favreau and Filoni doing it.
Right, but what we got was insane.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is that if, honestly, like, you look back at Star Wars, right? Mm-hmm. The problem is this. Even though the prequels are not on the same tier as, the originals.
Right.
They still feel like Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Everything else feels like a product. Mm-hmm. It feels like a corporate product.
Anything that Star Wars Disney has been an absolute failure from day one.
It feels like a corporate product. Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, Cal Kestis is cool.
Sure.
And that I'm excited for the new game coming out. Mm-hmm. And there are offshoots I think they did fine.
Yeah.
Mandalorian, cool. Right?
Yeah, I think
he's a good character.
I think Mandalorian should have been a season and that's it.
I agree. Like but that's the thing.
This is what Iger is talking about.
The problem is, it's the only thing that people are excited about.
Yeah, but you're going to start losing that excitement
if you put out. Bro.
Every season it's getting worse than the one previous.
Right, but if you had left it at one season, or even if you left it at two, if you ended it with Grogu going off with Luke, that's dude.
That would have been great.
I had chills.
Right, and then they would have followed it up in Ahsoka. And you would have had
a little bit more.
Right, a little bit more.
You peel back the curtain. Mm-hmm. You don't fucking fling it open.
Right. It's it just they keep on and Iger's talking about obviously they're going to do whatever they can to try to rehabilitate this. But
like, here's the thing, is that arguably, right? Mm-hmm. Everything that Disney is putting out right now is failing.
Oh. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is going to lose $100 million.
Yeah, but you've seen the PR with it. Like, they try to say it was a success because it had the highest opening day or opening weekend of an Ant-Man film.
Sure,
that's the quote that they stick with.
Except the fact that when you factor in inflation, there was actually less tickets sold.
The problem is this, though, is that if I was Iger and I saw what they did with MODOK, I would have fired Feige on the spot.
Yeah. I think Feige needs to go, to be perfectly honest.
He had a great idea. Mm-hmm. He did a very good job in seeing that idea through.
Yeah.
Everything since the end of it, everything since Endgame finished, has been slowly degrading into
Except No Way Home. Right, and that's only because Sony has the final say in that one.
Sure, and honestly, No Way Home was really just a nostalgia.
Right, but again, it was fine for that movie. You couldn't do it again.
No, but you burned that.
Right, but that movie
if you wanted to
was fine.
But the thing is Spider-Man has always kind of felt like a separate entity. Even if Sony didn't own the rights and it was all under Marvel, even in the comics and stuff, he's always kind of felt like, how Batman sort of feels like his own world?
Yeah.
Same thing with Spider-Man.
Well, because Spider-Man, like Batman, is all fleshed out. He's got his own supporting cast. He's got his own villains. He's got his own city.
It's all solid.
Right. It's all great. And so you could tell hundreds of Spider-Man stories with nobody else, and they'd be great.
Look,
because he's got his Spider family.
If they wanted to bring Tom Holland back and do, Peter in college and not knowing, basically giving Gwen Stacy a shot and going that route.
No, go Black Cat. Go Black Cat.
Yeah, all right, cool. But that's what I'm saying is like you can do that shit. So I'm on board for more Spider-Man.
Yeah, me too.
I'd love to see Kraven.
Oh, for sure. Not the Kraven that we're going to get though.
No, the fact that is that for sure coming out because we haven't heard anything about it.
No, it's definitely coming out.
I'm all set with that.
Yeah. Well, did you hear? I don't know if you've heard.
What's that?
Do you know who Sydney Sweeney is?
Give me a little bit.
She's in White Lotus, I think.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm not too familiar with her, right? I've just seen her.
White Lotus is pretty good.
So she's going to be in the Madam Web Sony-produced movie.
Okay.
And she supposedly is going to...
Who's playing Madam Web?
Dakota Johnson.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
But she's supposed to be playing, or potentially the rumor is she's playing the second Spider-Woman.
Okay.
And they might say, hey, whatever you do with Tom Holland, whatever, we're going to go Spider-Woman, and our universe is going to be built on that, not Tom Holland.
Yeah, that's cool.
And that's fine if they do
that.
Like
Spider-Woman's actually a decent character.
Right. And so and I'm actually cooler with them doing that than trying to have Tom Holland bounce between the two.
Yeah, I would agree. I think if they nail Spider-Woman, it could work.
Yeah, I do too.
What's funny is, have you heard of that game that came out that kind of tanked? It was called Midnight Suns.
Yes.
So I wanted to watch the story, right? And it's it feels like a comic.
Yeah.
And not in a bad way.
Right.
But Captain Marvel shows up at the beginning. And, here's the thing. It's not even Brie Larson. And it's still... She just sucks as a character.
The thing is, here's the thing, right? And as much hate as Brie Larson gets, and she deserves every piece of it, Captain Marvel sucked.
Before Brie Larson.
10 years before Brie Larson ever became it.
But that's the thing is what's crazy to me is I'm watching the game because I don't have time to play.
Right.
I'm watching the gameplay, right? And the Midnight Suns have some new blood and everything, and they're all great. And all the other female heroes that come in are great. And Lilith is really cool, and Scarlet Witch is great. And then fucking Captain Marvel comes in, and she just sucks.
Right.
Like, it sucks the energy out of the room.
Right. Just like Miss Marvel did for that Avengers game that came out a few years ago, where she was the starring character, and that game failed miserably.
Well, that failed because it was a live service game. But,
but it also, people were like, even that though, people were like, yeah, but I don't want to play this character.
Well, that
she
was the
sucks.
thing. Is
no one wants it.
I played through a bit of it, and every time it switched to Miss Marvel, I was just like, all right, but when do I get to be Iron Man again?
Right. Now, did you hear about the announcement of the Punisher?
I don't know what to do with it.
Well, see, here's the thing, right? We've seen what Kingpin is in the MCU. We've seen what Daredevil is in the MCU. If I'm John Bernthal, I would have said no. I'm like,
well, he must be getting a paycheck.
Well, sure. But I'd be, and again, it's easy to say, right?
The problem
obviously,
is this, right?
But
the problem is that Netflix is never going to have an opportunity to do that shit again.
No.
So if what I think is insane is that they're bringing the Punisher into this. Like, what are you thinking?
But you're never going to come close to what he did on Netflix. You're not going to allow that. So what is he going to be?
Well, he's not as tortured now.
No.
He banged She-Hulk. He's fine.
But I'm saying with the Punisher.
No, I know.
mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Is the Punisher going to crack? But is he going to be, spouting off quips? Is he going to be, is it going to be a buddy cop with him and Daredevil? Like, are we going to get
good cop, bad cop,
or even
like he's going to punch the perp, and Daredevil's going to be like, "Don't do that."
Yeah, I mean, are we going to get like Lethal Weapon with Daredevil and I can't see what they're going to do with this character on Disney Plus.
It's 18 episodes.
I know.
What story are you telling?
Well, because you said you're not telling the Born Again story.
No, you couldn't do it.
No, you couldn't, but you said you're not doing it anyway.
That's what I'm saying, is like how you couldn't do it in this world.
No, you can't.
And that's that's what's happening with Blade.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do it.
Which is why they keep pushing it off, because they know they don't have a story. The director quit because of how bad the story was. You don't even have a director named for it.
Here's the problem. Bruce Banner is not a comedic character.
No.
They turned him into one.
Mm-hmm.
Thor's not a comedic character. They turned him into one.
Mm-hmm.
Captain America is not a comedic character. They turned him into one.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Stark is.
Sure. Well, not in the comics he really isn't.
Right, if you feed into the alcoholism and all of that, and like, the PTSD. But if you want him to be the quipper, okay, I get it. You need some lightness.
Well, but that's what Peter Parker always was. That was his
Peter
role.
Was the kid, the teenage, I don't understand why everything is so fucking goofy.
Right. No, exactly. And we've talked about it before. Every new character is better than their predecessor. On day one, they're better, they're smarter, they're stronger, whatever it is. And then your villains suck. Your villains are terrible.
Well, here's the thing. Let's just, before we wrap this up, let's just look at Ironheart for a minute.
Yeah.
Right? With Tony Stark, we watched him be a billionaire playboy piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Then he got kidnapped. Then he got shrapnel in his heart.
Yeah.
Then he got out of that situation, but he lost his mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have established this man has earned my respect.
Yeah, and then you take into consideration too is he never really cared. He was making millions of dollars off selling weapons, and then he realized what those weapons actually do on the other side. Right, and he shut it down.
So that's what I'm saying is we had some time to establish, and then ultimately when he makes the snap, right, you go, of course he did.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Of course he did. That's Tony.
Right.
With Ironheart, what do we get? Oh, yeah, this chick goes to MIT. She's really smart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So those are our, put the origin stories next to each other.
Right.
How can you ask me to care about, if Ironheart does the snap, I go, all right, I fucking guess.
Yeah. But that's the whole thing. We're not taken on any journey with any of these characters. They just appear and are better than the character they're replacing from day one, with no journey, with no backstory.
That's what happened with DC, right? When they just wanted to release Justice League, and it's just like, yeah, but you have to earn that,
right?
And if you can't make me care about the characters, how do you expect me to earn that?
Yeah, no, DC was.
How do you expect?
Yeah. They were totally wrong in the way they released their movies.
Right, but that's what Marvel's doing now with these characters.
Mm-hmm.
What? I'm supposed to just get on board with Ironheart? I went on a journey with Tony Stark. I went on a journey with Captain America.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that first 3 phases, we got, a whole journey of all these different things that they went through, and we went for that ride with them.
Right. Even Vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of the polar opposite of Ultron, but even Ultron had some sympathies. There were just things that were earned that is just not happening now.
Right.
And maybe that's why I was a little more okay with Black Panther, because we've seen Shuri.
Right.
She is an established character. She's proven her grit.
Mm-hmm.
So I can look at her and go, yeah, you fucking belong here.
Right.
But then when you fucking bring on Ironheart, and it's just like, yeah, she's got a Tony Stark mobile right in her garage.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's way better. Or you bring on She-Hulk, and she has the audacity to say, I'm better at controlling my anger than you, Bruce, because I get catcalled and mansplained to.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, do you understand that he's tried to kill himself? He's lost his best friend, and he saved the fucking world?
Right.
Like, you're talking down to someone who's you're better.
Right. And, and he had the scars to prove it.
Right. That's what I'm saying is like, who the fuck are you?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know you.
Right.
And you're just going to show up and just be like, yeah, I'm just better.
Right. Yeah. Immediately, I'm better.
And then I'm going like, you haven't earned anything.
Right. Right. And this is the whole problem. This is the whole problem with Kevin Feige is in this whole multiverse bullshit that he's trying to do is you're bringing in all these characters and they've earned nothing. They've done nothing.
Like Miss Marvel might have an opportunity. I don't love her as a character, but you have an opportunity with her to kind of let her earn her stripes. Yeah,
but the problem with Miss Marvel is she's just like all the other ones. All I do is quip. I don't take, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not going to listen to you. I'm smarter. I'll just quip with everything.
Well, I heard they're trying to tone down the goofiness in the Marvels.
Right, and that's why it got pushed back and to do all these reshoots because the test screening said this movie sucks and the third act is so unwatchable and it's so goofy. And they're like, yeah, we got to take away all that goofiness because this is going to be just another massive failure if we keep it this way.
Look, Captain Marvel doesn't work in the same way that kind of Superman doesn't work. Mm-hmm. It's not super entertaining to watch Superman.
No.
Because there's not a lot of danger.
No.
There's just not. It's like he shows up and he fucks shit up. His stories are interesting when he's fighting with his humanity.
Yeah. Well, the only I mean that's what makes but that is what made the original ones, right? Because when you're fighting Zod, you're fighting
an equal,
right? So now you're not again, yes, compared to everybody else on the planet, you're something special, but to this guy across from you, you're equal. So that has stakes.
Right. And I liked what Snyder did with that. Like kind of giving us the human viewpoint of it. Bruce's viewpoint. Like, no, you're a monster. Mm-hmm. Like I was cool with all of that.
Sure.
But I didn't like the BVS because it's just like, if anybody could beat him, it's Batman, but
Right. Yeah. And I mean, yes. Can you get great stories with Lex Luthor because of his genius? Of course you can. Because he's got the money to be able to weaponize things to combat you.
Right.
And, once he finds kryptonite and he knows it's your weakness.
Brainiac into the picture and all of that, like, sure, cool. I think there's some potential there.
Mm-hmm.
But Captain Marvel doesn't have a Brainiac or a Zod.
No.
Like, the closest thing we got was fucking Jude Law's character, and she put him through a wall.
Right. But the thing is, right, with Superman, though, you have kryptonite, right? So you can take a mortal man, and he
has a weakness.
Right. There's a weakness there.
There's
if
no
you take him away
with
from
Captain Marvel.
Right. If you take him away from the yellow sun, there's a weakness there.
Right. He becomes a man.
What is the weakness? How do you defeat Captain Marvel based upon all her power sets?
But that's the crux of the character outside of Brie Larson.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Is that you have a character that is essentially undefeatable.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that.
No.
Because now you've removed danger.
Right. And the fact, and here's the thing, you don't have anybody that can compete with that, but you've never created a villain for her either that can. She doesn't have
a villain that's...
No.
Her villains are not compelling.
No. So you've got no villain that can actually match her or do anything to her, and she's got a power set that is undefeatable. So what do you do with that?
I think, listen, if I'm Iger, and then we'll wrap this. If I'm Iger, I look at the success of Werewolf by Night and go, why don't we tell some obscure stuff?
Sure.
You know, we'll do one-offs. It doesn't all have to be PG. You know, Deadpool's going to be R. And if they let them tell a Deadpool story, although it's a little tired, I think it'll be probably one of the better Marvel movies we've seen.
It could be. But the problem is, though, you have to do the multiverse thing. Everything is going to be around the multiverse. Every movie coming out in Phase 5 has to be multiversal.
Right, but maybe we don't do the multiverse because
But they've already committed to it.
I know, and it's a mess because it's not an.
But Deadpool's committed to it because they've already got Hugh Jackman coming in as that Wolverine from a different multiverse.
Right,
so,
but I would be fine if the way that they could tell these stories with the multiverse. All you have to do at the beginning is just have us as the audience travel down one of the paths of the multiverse.
Sure.
And then you just go into the portal and you're telling us a story from Earth 13.
Sure. You could do that.
I know that's how DC has the Earths, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Do it like that. And then you have your multiverse.
Right.
But everything still gets to be separate.
Yeah, you could do that, except that's not Feige's vision,
But
and that's not what he wants.
Feige's failed.
Right. His vision has failed
here's
now.
Here's the thing, is that arguably, right, you can fail once. So Phase 4 failed.
Right.
You have nothing on the docket for Phase 5 that is going to redeem you.
Well, I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will be the outlier. I think that'll do well.
Werewolf by Night.
Right. And I think that everything else will fail.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the Marvels is going to be awful.
Oh, terrible.
What story are we even telling?
Who knows? Just 3 girls that are, saving the world.
Bad bitches.
Yeah.
All right, Jim. We'll put this one to bed.
Okay.
As always, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, for sure.
What's going on?
Just drawing away, making sure get some new artwork every week that you can see on the social media sites, and still preparing for some upcoming news that we'll share with you when the time is right.
Yeah, I think towards the end of March we'll make an announcement.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. So that's episode 44 of The Corner. CatalystCrafting.com is the main website. Catalyst Creations NH is the Etsy store. 20 orders away from 1,000.
Nice.
We started a Patreon.
Yep.
So we've got some. There's some extra content from the podcast level. There's some videos on there. There you can get exclusive T-shirts and stickers. There's some good shit on there.
Yeah, for sure.
The website is patreon.com/catalystcrafting. And as always, thank you guys for listening. We really wouldn't be able to do this without your support. Like and subscribe on the socials so we can keep boosting, the message. And what do you guys think? I mean, have you seen Megan? Is it a horror movie for the TikTok generation? Did you watch Devil's Conspiracy? Did you think it was a masterpiece in action? Is Chris Rock right to take a shot at Will Smith? Do you think that April being black is an issue? And what are your thoughts on Star Wars and Marvel and this Disney conundrum? Let me know in the comments. All right, crew. We'll catch you on the next one.